The crystal chandeliers of the Bellevue Grand Hotel ballroom glittered like stars above the most lavish wedding Manhattan had seen in decades. Lena Moretti adjusted her black server's uniform, tucking a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear. As she balanced a tray of Dom Perignon, at 26, with 2 jobs and night classes in design, she needed this catering gig desperately. Her student loans wouldn't pay themselves. Remember? Her supervisor hissed. These people paid 6 figures for perfection. Lena nodded, scanning the room filled with New York's elite in couture gowns and bespoke suits. The bride, Victoria Ashcroft, daughter of a banking dynasty, was a vision and a hand-embroidered Elie Saab creation that cost more than Lena's entire college education. And then there was the groom, Damian Cole. Unlike the other trust fund babies, he'd built his tech empire from nothing. Lena had read about him orphaned at 12, scholarship to MIT, now worth billions. His sharp features and intense gaze made him look more like a warrior than a businessman. Champagne service for the head table, came the order. Lena moved carefully through the crowd, maintaining her invisible server persona. She approached the bride first, as protocol demanded. Victoria was mid-laughed at something a bridesmaid had whispered, her diamond earrings catching the light as she turned suddenly. It happened in slow motion, Victoria's sharp elbow connecting with Lena's tray, the delicate flutes tipping, the golden liquid arcing through the air before splashing across the bride's bodice and cascading out the intricate beadwork of her skirt. The ballroom fell silent. "You stupid, clumsy girl." Victoria's shriek shattered the quiet. "Do you know what you've done? This gown is one of a kind." Lena froze, mortified. "I'm so sorry, it was an accident." "An accident? You've ruined my wedding, my photos, everything." The bride's mother rushed over with napkins while the wedding planner frantically summoned emergency seamstresses. Victoria continued her tirade, each word slicing through Lena like glass. "You'll never work in this city again. I'll make sure of it." Tears stung Lena's eyes, but she wouldn't cry. Not here. Through the commotion, she felt someone watching her. Damian Cole stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on her with an unreadable expression. No mockery, no anger, just intense observation. Her supervisor appeared, grabbing her arm. "Leave now." Lena nodded, backing away from the scene as whispers and snickers followed her. Outside in the hotel's manicured garden, away from judging eyes, she finally let the tears fall. Her hands trembled as she texted her roommate that she'd been fired and needed a ride. She never noticed the tall figure who had followed her outside, watching from the shadows as she tried to gather the pieces of her shattered dignity. 3 hours later, Lena sat alone on a stone bench in the garden's secluded alcove. Her ride was delayed, and she couldn't bear waiting in the staff area, where pitying glances and gossip about Champagne Girl circulated freely. The reception continued inside, music and laughter spilling from open French doors. Most people would have disappeared by now. The deep voice startled her. Damian Cole stood a few feet away, his bow tie loosened, jacket discarded. Up close, his presence was even more commanding tall, with shoulders built from actual workouts rather than tailoring tricks. Lena quickly wiped her eyes. "I'm waiting for my ride, Mr. Cole. I'm not trespassing." "I didn't say you were." He approached, hands in his pockets. "Victoria's dress will survive. The designer is flying in replacement beadwork as we speak." "That's good." Lena stood, preparing to leave. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lena Moretti, Italian, on my father's side." Damian nodded, studying her with that same intense gaze from earlier. "Victoria wants to sue the catering company." Lena's heart sank. It was an accident. She moved suddenly, "I know. I saw what happened." Silence stretched between them. "You didn't laugh," she finally said. Everyone else did. His expression softened slightly. "I've been on the wrong side of public humiliation before. It's not entertaining." Lena squared her shoulders. "Mr. Cole, I'm truly sorry about ruining your wedding. I hope despite this incident, you find happiness in your marriage." Something flickered in his eyes, surprise, perhaps, or recognition. "That's generous, considering my bride just threatened your livelihood." Lena shrugged. Being angry won't fix anything. Her phone buzzed. Her roommate had arrived. She gathered her bag. "Goodbye, Mr. Cole. Congratulations again." As she walked away, his voice followed her. "Victoria and I aren't getting married tonight." Lena turned, confused. "The wedding's off," he explained, his expression unreadable in the garden's dim lighting. "It has been for about an hour now." "Of the dress?" His laugh was unexpected, deep and genuine. "No, Ms. Moretti, because sometimes it takes a crisis to see things clearly. The dress was just champagne on a cake that was already falling apart." Before she could respond, he handed her a business card. "My company needs a new event coordinator, someone who handles pressure with grace. The interview is Tuesday at 10 a.m. if you're interested." He walked away, leaving Lena staring at the embossed card in her hand, wondering if this night was real or some strange dream born from humiliation and exhaustion. "He's testing you," Lena's roommate Rachel insisted as they rode the elevator to the 87th floor of Cole Tower. 2 days later. Billionaires don't just hand out jobs to people who ruin their weddings. Lena smoothed her only designer blazer, lucky thrift store find. Maybe he feels guilty. Men like him don't feel guilt. They feel opportunity. The elevator doors opened onto a minimalist lobby of steel, glass, and breathtaking Manhattan views. A sleek receptionist greeted Lena by name, as if she were expected. "Cole is in a meeting. Amara will conduct your initial interview." Amara turned out to be Damien's formidable chief of staff, a woman whose penetrating gaze seemed to read Lena's thoughts. The interview was grueling questions about organizational skills, conflict resolution, and hypothetical event disasters that made champagne spills seem trivial. "Why are you here, Ms. Moretti?" Amara finally asked. "Your background is in design, not event planning." Lena hesitated, then decided on honesty. "Because someone saw value in me when I was at my lowest? That doesn't happen often." Amara's expression softened fractionally. "Final question. Victoria Ashcroft's father sits on 3 boards with Mr. Cole. Her family could make things difficult. Does that concern you?" "Of course it does," Lena admitted. "But I can't control their actions, only my response to them." The office door opened, and Damien entered. Seeing him in his natural environment charcoal suit perfectly tailored to his athletic frame, surrounded by the empire he'd built, was intimidating. "She do," Amara announced, rising. "If you're certain about this, I am." His eyes met Lena's. "Welcome to Cole Innovations, Miss Moretti." The following weeks transformed Lena's life. Her apartment for a luxury corporate housing unit. Her community. College classes for private tutorials from industry leaders. Her secondhand clothes for a wardrobe allowance that made her dizzy. Working directly under Amara, she coordinated dinners with foreign dignitaries, charity galas, and product launches. Damien attended each event, always professional, always distant. Only occasionally would she catch him watching her with that same intense gaze from the garden. One night, after successfully managing a crisis at a benefit gala, she found him on the venue's balcony. "You've proven me right," he said, without preamble. "What?" "That night at the wedding, I saw something in you. Resilience. Integrity." Lena's pulse quickened. "Is that why you hired me?" "Pity? I don't do pity, Lena." The sound of her first name on his lips sent an unexpected shiver through her. "I do strategic decisions. You were one of my best." Before she could respond, his phone rang, another crisis requiring his attention. As always, the moment slipped away, leaving Lena wondering if the connection she felt existed only in her imagination. 6 months into her position at Cole Innovations, Lena had proven herself indispensable. The gossip about her hiring had faded, replaced by respect for her work ethic and creative solutions. Even Amara had become something of a mentor, only one. Problem remained: her growing feelings for Damien Cole. She tried to ignore them, the flutter when he entered a room, the way she anticipated his rare smiles. Professional boundaries existed for a reason. Besides, men like him dated models and heiresses, not former catering assistants with student debt. Tonight's charity auction was her most ambitious project, yet transforming an abandoned warehouse. into an enchanted forest for New York's wealthiest philanthropists. Moss-covered walls, canopies of twinkling lights, and live butterflies created a magical atmosphere that had guests gasping in delight. Impressive. Damien appeared beside her. Observation point. Looking devastating in a midnight blue tuxedo. You've outdone yourself. Thank you. She tried to maintain professional composure. The pledges are already double our goal. A commotion near the entrance drew their attention. Victoria Ashcroft had arrived, draped in diamonds and venom. Didn't approve her invitation, Lena said quickly. She's on the museum board, Damien explained. Unavoidable. Throughout the evening, Victoria made her presence felt, loudly questioning Lena's qualifications within earshot. Accidentally spilling wine on Lena's gown in poetic revenge, Lena maintained her composure, even as the whispers began again. The champagne girl, the gold digger, the nobody who somehow caught Damien Cole's attention. After the auction concluded successfully, Lena escaped to the venue's rooftop garden for a moment of peace. The Manhattan skyline glittered before her, beautiful and unreachable, like so many things in her new life. Don't let her win, Damien's voice came from behind her. Lena turned, emotional barriers crumbling. Why did you really hire me, Damien? Was I just a way to finally end things with Victoria? It's a perfect excuse? He stepped closer, his expression intense. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think anymore. Her voice broke slightly. I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Like eventually everyone will realize I don't belong here. And where do you belong, Lena? Question hung between them, charged with meaning. When she didn't answer, he reached out, his fingers gently brushing a tear from her cheek. The night we met, he said softly, you wished me happiness even. As your world was crumbling, no calculation, no agenda, just genuine concern for a stranger who was part of your humiliation. His hand lingered on her face. I've spent my life surrounded by people wanting something from me, until you. The space between them disappeared as his lips found hers in a kiss that felt inevitable, gentle at first, then deepening with months of unspoken longing. His arms encircled her waist, drawing her closer as the city lights blurred around them. When they finally separated, breathless reality crashed back. She'd just kissed her boss, crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. This can't happen, she whispered, stepping away. I've worked too hard to be taken seriously. Can't be the girl who slept her way to the top. Before he could respond, she fled, leaving him alone under the stars. The resignation letter sat on Damien's desk for 3 days before he summoned Lena to his office. She entered with practiced professionalism, despite the memories of their kiss, haunting her every night. I won't accept this, he said, without preamble, her letter between his fingers. It's not a request, Damien. It's a notice. He stood, circling his desk, to stand before her. Running away solves nothing. Not running away, she insisted. I'm protecting everything I've built. A reputation, damn reputation, he interrupted. What about happiness? What about us? The word us hung in the air between them. There is no us, she said softly. There's Damien Cole, billionaire CEO, and Lena Moretti. The champagne girl everyone already thinks is sleeping with the boss. His jaw tightened. I don't care what people think. That's because you've never had to. You've never had your worth questioned at every turn. Silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken truths. 1 year, he finally said, Give me 1 year to prove this is real. Before she could respond, his intercom buzzed. Mr. Cole, your mother's gala begins in an hour. Lena blinked in confusion. Your mother? I thought, not my biological mother, he explained. Eleanor Hamilton. She took me in after my parents died. Tonight's her annual foundation gala. Understanding dawned. The Children's Education Foundation. It's on my calendar. Come with me, he said suddenly. Not as my event coordinator. It's my date. The gala was held at the same hotel where they'd first met the Bellevue Grand. As they entered together, whispers followed them, but for once Lena didn't care. Damien's hand at the small of her back anchored her against the tide of speculation. Eleanor Hamilton proved to be a gracious woman with Damien's same penetrating gaze. So you're the famous Lena, she said warmly. Damien speaks highly of you. He does. Eleanor smiled, Said you reminded him of me, someone who sees people for who they are, not what they own. Later, as they danced beneath the same chandeliers that had witnessed her humiliation a year before, Damien held her close. Do you believe in full circles? He asked softly. What do you mean? He gestured around them. Same hotel, different outcome. Defra smiled. I'm not wearing champagne this time. No, he agreed, his eyes serious. But you're still changing my life. He led her to the garden where they'd had their first real conversation. Under a canopy of stars, he took both her hands in his. Don't want your resignation, Lena. I want your heart. Your future? Everything. People will talk, she whispered. Let them. He brushed his lips against her knuckles. The difference between then and now is that I no longer care what the world thinks. I only care what you think. In that moment, surrounded by the scent of roses and the distant music of the gala, Lena realized something profound. True luxury wasn't about champagne or chandeliers or designer gowns. It was about finding someone who saw your value when you were at your lowest stand, loved you not despite your flaws, but because of the strength it took to overcome them. No more running? He asked softly. She smiled, rising on tiptoes to kiss. Him no more running. And as his arms encircled her, she knew that sometimes spilling champagne could lead to something far more intoxicating than anything served in crystal flutes. A love born from catastrophe, strengthened through challenge, and finally gloriously set free.